Hello, my fellow gnomes. How are you all doing? I've been getting lots of questions about my custom characters video. And one of the most asked questions was how you can change your character in the middle of the game. So what I've done here is I've created these little morphs. So I can go up to one of them, I get this prompt to change character, and I can change into my cube man. And I've also added some idle animations, which lots of people were asking about. And I can change into the spider. And if I want, I can go and change into this noob here and so on. And I can keep switching however I like. So if you want to see how I've made these, then be sure to keep watching to the end and I'll show you how. If you are feeling especially lazy, then I will be leaving a completed free model containing all of these for you to go and check out. Although the animations won't work inside the free model. And if you want to learn how to actually make these yourself, you're probably going to need to watch the whole video anyway. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm here inside a blank studio environment, and you see I have this model here already. This is my custom characters model, which I made freely available at the end of the last video on custom characters. So it's exactly as you'll see if you find it. I'll leave a link to this in the description so you can get it. It's got a little readme with some instructions and so on. But what we want to do is you want to transform this into a morph, okay? So what I'm going to use is a proximity prompt. So I'm going to just add in a blank part first of all. We'll just put this over here. We'll make this a little bit smaller maybe. And then inside of it, add in something called a proximity prompt. And you're not going to be able to see any difference while we're editing at least. But if I just go and click play here, so I'll spawn in with my character right next to the part. We should then see a little interact option appears above it. And it defaults to E, so if I press the E key, you can see, it's reacting to me pressing it. So this is something that we can use for our morph. So let's go back and edit. I'm just going to put this a little bit in the air so it's not on the floor. I'll make it invisible. We'll just rename the part prompt. And then let's just edit a few settings of the proximity prompt. So the action text just defaults to interact. Maybe we'll change that to something like change character. It defaults to E or X for gamepad. You can add a hold duration, so they have to press and hold. Let's use that for 1 second. I don't think we're bothered about any of these other settings though. So the next thing we want to do is we want to react to when this prompt is actually used, when it's triggered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a new script now. But before I do that, let's just take things out of this folder. So I want this spider model and I want this prompt. Holding down the control key, I can select both of them. And I'm just going to press Control G, group them together. So now they're in a little group. And I'll just call this spider morph. And then we'll rename it from StarterCharacter to spider. And then in here, we'll add in our script. We'll name this morph script. It's always a good idea to name everything just so you can keep track. If you've got a load of default things just called script and model, it can get confusing. And in here, we need a variable for the entire model. So local model equals just script.parent. So the parent of the script is the spider morph model. Because we can see if we click to hide it, it hides everything in there. So that's the parent of that script. Then we want to get the prompt. So that will be the local prompt will equal the model. So that variable we just created. Dot prompt, which is the name of the part we created. And then we want to get the proximity prompt inside of it. So dot proximity prompt. And you can see it's being suggested for me. So I can just tap enter and it auto completes. And then we'll use the prompt variable, and we want to use the triggered event. So dot triggered, and this will fire whenever a player presses and holds that E key. So then we want to connect it to a function, which takes the player as a default parameter. And then we have this little function which will run. So if I just did a little print statement here, we can check it's all working. This function is running. So this line will only run if this prompt has been triggered. So let's enable our output. Go to the View tab, click Output, and then we get this little text down here. This is good to always have the output window open when you're testing, so you can catch any errors or any problems, and you can use obviously the print statement like we're doing now. So as you can see, when I go over here, I have this change character prompt suddenly becomes visible to me, and if I press and hold the E key, we can see this function is running down the output. So we know that code is running. Now what we want to do is we want to transform our character from our default, in this case my GnomeCode avatar, over to the spider one. So if we hit stop, go into our Morph script, we'll delete this print, and instead let's start off by getting their current character. So local old character, and that will equal the player and dot character. Okay, so we've already got the player. Whenever that prompt's triggered, it tells you which player has fired it, and then we just get their character. And then we're going to want to get the new character. So local new character. In this case, it's going to be the model dot spider. And then we're going to want to create a copy of that spider, because we don't want to just give them this spider right here. Because if they did that, then the next player that comes along, well, there's not going to be any model for them to transform into. So we want to create a copy. And to create a copy, we use colon, clone, open close bracket. So that creates a new copy. But we need to give that new copy some properties. So first off, one thing I might want to do is I might want to make sure that this spider is anchored, because we don't want it being pushed off the map. So I'm going to click the humanoid root part and anchor it, so it just can't get pushed around. But then obviously we don't want the character to be anchored itself. So I will say new character dot humanoid root part dot anchored, and we'll set that to false. Now the next thing we want to do is we don't want our new character spawning in to be in exactly the same position as this one. We probably want them to be where they were stood with their old character. So to do this, we'll say new character, and we'll use a function called set primary part C-frame. And all that we do with this function is we supply a C-frame value, which is a combination of position and rotation. So we can get the old character, that variable we created up here, that'll be useful. Old character dot, and we'll get their primary part dot C-frame. So whatever was the position of the previous character, we're going to set it to the new character. So they'll be in the same position as before. And then finally, we need to set the player dot character. We're going to set that equal to, so we're assigning them a new character now. Assign them the new character object. Remember, that was the spider model that we cloned. And then once we've done that, there's one more thing we need to do, which is, because this copy, it doesn't really exist anywhere in the game at the moment. We've created a copy, but we've not added it anywhere. So the game world is the workspace, which is where all the objects are in the game that the player can interact with. So we need to add their new character dot parent, and we need to add it in to the workspace. And once we've done all of this, our script should be complete. So we'll click play here. I'll head over to the spider, and we can see, look, this one is kind of moving around, which obviously you don't want them to be moving. So that's why I anchored this one. But I'll go up to the prompt, hold E, change character, and there we go. I've spawned in now as a spider, and I can move around. Super. But I'm not actually animated at the moment. So if I want to have the character animated, well, we can use those animations we used before. So if I open up this folder, I think, is this for the spider? I'm not sure. Let's just try it. So I'm gonna, this basic walk animation script I made, I'm gonna copy that, Control C, and pop it inside of the spider model. So now if we hit play, and it looks like we haven't got the right animation there. So one sec, let me just get my walking animation for the spider. Okay, I've got my spider animation, so I can just pop it now inside of the walk. And we can see that ID changes. So now when I click play, change character, and there we go, we've got our legs walking now. Fantastic. Now, our animation script that we currently have is pretty basic. It only allows a walk animation track to play. But a lot of people are asking how they could do an idle animation as well. So I can show you how to do that. That's easy enough. And all we need to do now is make a few little edits. But first of all, let's actually go and create a idle animation for my spider. So I'll just go to the animation editor. We'll just try and make something really quick here. Okay, so there's a quick little idle animation. Make sure it's on loop. We'll set the animation priority to idle, and then I'll export it. Now I've got the ID, so I'll copy that. Inside the animate script, I'll add in a new animation object. I'll name this idle, and then I'll paste in the animation ID. There we go. So now back into our script, and we can start scripting. So all we need to do is we need to copy this for the walk animation for the idle. So we want one for the actual object itself. So in this case, it's called idle. And then we want one to actually load in the idle animation track. So this will be idle anim track. And we'll use this idle object. So that's loaded in, both of them, to the animator object of the humanoid. And then let's look at our actual logic here now. So if not walk anim track is playing, then want to check also and idle anim track is playing. And if the idle is playing, then we're going to want to stop idle playing. And then down here, we're going to want to do the same thing, but the other way around. So, and not idle anim track dot is playing. And then in that case, we'd want to play the idle animation and stop the walk anim. And then, of course, just to start off with, we will assume that they're not moving. So we're going to want to just play the idle just right at the beginning. So we can just play it down here. And now if I go and click play, we should hopefully have our working spider with his walk and his idle animations. So I'll change character. There we go. And we can walk along. And then when we stop walking, we will now go into our funny little idle animation. Walk around a bit. And he can do his thing again. So there we go. We've got our spider. If we wanted, we could do the same for our cube man here. So all we'd have to do is we'd have to copy these scripts over. We would need that prompt, wouldn't we? So where's that prompt gone? There it is. Control G, duplicate. And this time, group both of these together. We'll call this cube morph. We would name him to be cube man. And the prompt can stay the same, but we're going to need a script as well. So we could copy and paste this script in. And this script is all the same. We can reuse it. Although, obviously, each time we copy it, we're going to have to change this part of the code right here, where we just type the name of it. That's a little bit annoying. A better way of doing it, if we're going to assume all of them look like this, is we always want the object that's the model inside the model. So what we could do is we could create another variable. We could say local morph model, and we can set this equal to the total model, right, which is this top level thing. And we will then look for find first child of class, and we'll find whatever is a model. So if there's anything that's a model inside of here, which there is, we'll get that, and then we'll simply clone it. So there we go. Now we can just copy this to all of them. So I could take this, copy, paste it into the other one, and now all of my scripts are the same. I won't have to edit any of them, which is handy. And then all I need to do here is need to add in his animations as well, isn't it? So we will take the same animation script from the spider, copy this into the cube man, and then all I'll need to do is I'll need to get my idle and walk animations for the cube man. Okay, so I've just created a slightly wappy animation for our cube man. So if we change into him now, we can walk a bit around, and then we can get this wild spinning head animation when he's idling. He can walk, and then he'll go into his spinny head thing. So there we go. We've got both of our animations. And if we want to change back into the spider while we're here, we can do so. We can have our spider and so on. Now, obviously, these animation scripts I've set up are pretty rudimentary. You might have noticed it was kind of glitching a little bit there. So if you want a better animation script than this, what you can do is you can actually take from the default Roblox script themselves. So when you click play and you load in with your character, obviously you'll notice you can go to workspace, you can select, in my case, GnomeCode, that selects the character. And if you look inside, you'll see there's already an animate script in there, which contains all different animations, idle, jump, you know, the laugh, the ones that you select from the emoticons and so on. So if you copy this, right click, click copy, click stop, so we go back to editing, you can actually go and paste this into workspace. So you've got it here, you've got that animation script. And if we say wanted to add in just like a basic R6 or R15 model now, so we could add in a new block rig, add this guy in, and maybe we'll add in some body colors. We'll give them the default. So maybe we want to have a noob morph as our final one. And we're going to need to do the same things we've done for these two. So we're going to create a model to put inside, call this noob morph. Then we'll want to take the prompt and the morph script, and we'll move that over here and make sure to place it inside of the noob. There we go. And then finally, we need an animation script. And instead of using that one we wrote before, let's use this one right here that we copied. So drag that into our noob. Right, let's click play. There we go. I'll go up to our noob, change character. And, oh, we're not animating. What's going on here then? We haven't put our animation script inside of the noob. That's very important, because otherwise it's not going to get copied anywhere. So paste the local script into the noob model. And now head up to our noob, change character, and there we go. We've got all the same animations as we would before. We can even do a dance, and we can dance with our noob. We can go over to our cube man. It can be our cube for a bit. Obviously, we can't dance with the cube because we haven't got those scripts anymore. But if we're the noob, we can access them. It could be the spider for a little bit, and so on. So there we go. That is our working characters and how to change them in the game. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have, then be sure to leave a like, and why not consider subscribing? You can watch some more videos like this. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!